What's up? A to Z Sports here live on a Thursday, a Titans Thursday, and another day of positive tests when it comes to the Tennessee Titans and COVID-19. Now there are a lot more names, 14 total names that are Titans players on the COVID list, and two more that will come out later today. Corey Davis came out later yesterday, and there was one test that was previously unconclusive. That is one of the two positive tests from today's news. So, Zach, there's a lot to go over, and I do believe that there is now someone to blame with what all happened yesterday. Crazy day in Titans land yesterday with Paul Kaharski's report about the NBA practice. Buck Rising talking to Titans players that we reported on A to Z Sports Nashville.com about how that went down, the overall timeline. Now it looks like Zach disappeared for a moment. Now Zach is back. But we were having.
I got you. You disappeared for a moment.
Really? I disappeared because it looked like you disappeared for a moment. But there's a lot of stuff happening with the Tennessee Titans, and we will try to go over it all. I think there's multiple people to blame. So let's get this thing going as the Bills game is officially in jeopardy this morning. Zach, how's it going? Oh, and Magic Bucket too, to distract us all from what's happening with the Titans COVID test.
Yeah, I'm sticker ready. Alakazam, I'm right back. We got good connection, and we are about to discuss the news that came down this morning, and it's not good. So Buck and I talked a lot yesterday morning on this show about the repercussions. We will dive in. I don't know Austin's opinion on what happened yesterday. So this is going to be a good show. And also, I don't know everybody else's opinion on where your percentage is on whether they're going to play on Sunday. I got to tell you, Austin, update. Mine went from 38 to 62, back down to 38. Now, I'll just say it's going down. We'll disclose where that's going.
Young Jock style going down?
Yeah, it's going down. And the other thing that's going down is you guys sharing the show. More people are going to pile in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. Probably going to have a big show this morning. It's right. Titans Thursday. I just have that feeling. Bottom right corner of your screen, if you're watching on Twitter/Periscope, you'll see those three little dots. You can share the broadcast that way. Tap that bad boy and retweet us. Please do that. We need to pop up in your Twitter followers timeline. Also on Facebook. What's going on, Facebookers? What's going on YouTube and Twitch as well? As more people do roll in, please share the show, share the broadcast. Bottom left corner of your screen, if you're watching on Facebook, we would appreciate a share. All you got to do is share now to public. Boom, Facebook does all the work for you, where we pop up in your Facebook friends newsfeed. So let's get this party started, Austin. A lot of COVID running rampant in these Nashville streets.
Yeah, for sure. Excuse me. I took one day off. Thanks for Buck for stepping in, and now I can't talk. So one day off, one day out of rhythm, I can't talk.
Rusty Smith over there.
Welcome into A to Z Sports. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports, like our Facebook page at A to Z Sports Nashville. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network. We go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it all happen for our show and for you guys. Renters Warehouse Nashville, the professional landlords in the Nashville area. RentersWarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for. Mandu, the pulse of fitness. Got to work out later today. Mandu.com. Your first workout is absolutely free. The Tucker Agency, Nashville's independent insurance agency, saving you money on your personal insurance. TuckerTN.com. Calvin and Subtle for your new hardwood floors and finishings. Hit them up at CalvinandSubtle.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. BoneandJointTN.org is where to go. So now I'm reading this from Emily Proud's tweet. 5 defensive players, 6 offensive players, 1 special teams player. You got 2 corners, Greg Nabin and Christian Fulton. 3 wide receivers, Adam Humphries, Cam Batson, and now he goes from contract Corey Davis to COVID Corey Davis. 1 tight end, Tommy Hudson. 2 D linemen, Daquan Jones, Jeffrey Simmons. Isaiah Wilson has been on there since September 6th. Kamoi Correa, Bo Brinkley, and fullback Corey Blasingame. It is a full-on outbreak with the Tennessee Titans. That's just the players, not even the staff. But again, it felt like the corner had been turned because Tuesday morning, Titans players were dismissed from their facility to self-isolate. And then you see Monday and Tuesday morning with 0 positive tests. You feel like the incubation period had run its course and the Titans could get out of this. But no, that's not how it went. You got Corey Davis and then 2 more players who have not been named yet who have tested positive for the coronavirus. Zach, how are you feeling right now? Because this Buffalo game is absolutely in jeopardy.
Well, I feel like it's a book that we had to read for summer reading that I never read. It's like the Andromeda strain or outbreak, where like this is a full-fledged outbreak, and the Titans, this virus, I say it every damn day on the show. It's contagious. It's really, really contagious. So we should not be surprised that, things are going the way that they are. I think that is a massive problem. I think the Titans, if you want to place blame game, which we'll do here shortly, you can place blame. It's now not just about the virus. I feel like it's about that we need to pop up, understanding that the virus is out there and around them, and maybe not taking the proper steps to play, because you have to be healthy to play, and you just listed it. They're not healthy.
No. It's very frustrating. Honestly, Zach, I'm pretty pissed off. To be honest, I'm frustrated at this because, look, having the bye weeks moved around, that's all good and great, right? I feel like the NFL did not have proper plans for what was going to happen if one team had an outbreak like this. And to be honest, I'll go back to what we talked about earlier this week, excuse me. The Greg Maben situation is unfortunate for the Tennessee Titans. But since then, it feels like there have been a lot of mistakes that have happened within this Titans organization. Greg Maben and any other free agent that gets signed from the streets should have had at least a 1-week onboarding period. And why they were allowed to just pass 2 or 3 tests before coming in the facility, that makes no sense, because we've known the incubation period has been 5 to 7 days. We've known that for months, but the NFL basically ignored it. And so how you allow a free agent like Greg Maben to ruin your entire season at this point, 3 weeks in, a guy who was signed to the practice squad. Greg Maben's not that important when it comes to the Tennessee Titans winning football games, but he seems like patient zero at this time that ruined this all, because look at the trend of how it's kind of gone around the Titans team, right? Greg Maben, defensive back. Shane Bowen, basically your defensive coordinator. And then it started popping around defensive players like Daquan Jones, then your defensive assistants like Shane Bowen and others that have been reported of defensive coaches that have gotten this. Then it runs through Christian Fulton, and then it runs through Kamale Correa. You get Jeffrey Simmons as well. And then it made its way to the offensive side of the ball with Adam Humphries and Cam Batson, and now Corey Davis. And now you're in real deep trouble, and Corey Blasingame as well. Now you're in deep trouble for, if you try to play Sunday against the Bills, then you're decimated on offense and defense at this point, because you have no run defense and you also barely have any wide receivers, especially because A.J. Brown's status is still up in the air because of his bone bruise in his knee.
Yeah, and I think the biggest head scratcher to me is that Minnesota didn't get it. Right. That, I think, that is and it's a weird virus. We understand that. But that, I think, was the most eye-opening thing. They played Minnesota. They beat Minnesota. They were on the same field, breathing the same air as the Minnesota Vikings. And none of the Vikings got it. So, this is strange. And then after that, once they figured out that it was in their facility and in their players, I think that there was some missteps. I think you have to admit some missteps on protocol of what we've heard, right? We'll talk about the story that came out yesterday of them practicing. Everybody has their own opinion about that, and we'll get to that. But this is a detriment to the NFL, the whole league.
Mm-hmm.
The Titans are now the eyesore of the league, because this is not just 1 or 2 players, right? This is a massive amount of players,
14.
And now it's really messing up the scheduling of all the other teams.
And you know who else? You know what else it's messing up? It's messing up the NFL's money.
That goes without being said.
Once you cost the NFL money, you're in deep with the NFL. And again, I've said this already once today. Everybody gets one. Spider-Man rules. Everybody has one bye week that you can shuffle around a little bit. The Titans used their one. Now, what has to happen? Does the NFL have to create a week 18? And that really messes with things. Does the NFL move this Bills game to Monday or Tuesday? The Bills play on Thursday night, so you can't do that. Do you have to move Thursday night off of the Bills game from Thursday night off of that to Sunday? Now you're messing with Thursday night contracts. Everything is such a mess right now because of what's happened with the Tennessee Titans. It's spanned over 2 weeks at this point.
Yeah, I'm giving the love of the show early on to Michael Huey because he says, as a Titans fan, he says, we always wanted media attention. This is not what we had in mind.
Yeah,
and it's the perfect comment because it's so true. Titans are 3-0 for the first time since 2008. They've got a really damn good running back. They got a quarterback playing at an all-time high. They got A.J. Brown returning. They got a good coach. They got an offensive coordinator finally heading into a second year with some stability. And everything aligns. And then COVID 2020 comes along and blows it up. Now, I also think, if this was the Dallas Cowboys or the New England Patriots or Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, God knows the coverage of what it is. And the Patriots have sprinkled, but it's different. This is a massive outbreak within the Titans facility. They cannot field. Here's the issue. The Patriots are at a disadvantage against the Chiefs because they didn't have their quarterback. The Titans will be at a disadvantage for whoever they play over the next, I don't know, this week or next week. We'll talk about if they're going to play or not because they have multiple guys on their team that cannot participate. That's a disadvantage. Let's not talk about the virus. That is just a football disadvantage. It's not advantageous for them to play.
No. But let's do this. Your NFL rosters are not big by any means, and they have 14 players. If you count the practice squad and the active roster, that's 69. So 14 out of 69. That's a lot of your roster that's been dealing with.
A lot of practice guys blow. I mean, right? The first guy that came to mind, and this is no offense to you, bro, but Nick Williams. He had the opportunity to catch a game-winning touchdown pass against Buffalo a couple years ago, and his ass got cut the next day. Those are the kind of guys that you're talking about in that 14 group.
All right, A to Z Sports, you're live on a Thursday. Let's do this. Are the Titans players to blame for the COVID outbreak still running through this team? That's the question we're going to ask you guys. Do you blame the Titans players at this point? But first, let me tell you about Renters Warehouse Nashville, the professional landlords in the Nashville area. RentersWarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for. There are several different ways Renters Warehouse Nashville can help you out financially during this pandemic. Whether you've lost your job, lost a lot of income, or whatever your situation might be, and your mortgage is biting deeper into that income every month, don't panic, sell your house. Renters Warehouse Nashville can help you out. Right now, there's a lot of business going on with Renters Warehouse Nashville. They're there and available for you. Find out how much your home can rent for. RentersWarehouse.com is where to go.
A to Z Sports, I am really, really excited to read comments.
Yes, me too.
You guys should be really excited to win some money. We're hooking you up this weekend. If the Titans do or do not play, you can still bet. We're hooking up with a code with MyBookie all season long. We've partnered with them for you guys. Double your first deposit. Code MyTitans will double it. So you put in $40, you have $80 in your account. You put in $100, you have $200 in your account, and so on. That's MyTitans from MyBookie.ag. I want to read some comments, Austin, because we're asking are the Titans players to blame for the COVID-19 outbreak still running through the team? This has now been on set for 2 weeks now, 2+ weeks, and 20+ players. Let's read.
No, hold on. Not 20+ players.
Our staff and players.
Yes.
Jameson says, I'm so mad that the Titans' lack of leadership through this outbreak of this pandemic. It's a horrible look. Layla says, yes, they are. Mark says, no, they're not. Louis says, no. He says, yes, Jose, after 2 days of negative tests, have new positive tells me that they did something wrong. Marcus, though, says, you can't blame the players for the outbreak of the virus. The government hasn't even figured it out. I mean, that's some truth there. Derickler says this is extremely depressing. I blame the league, the team, and the players to some extent. So he's kind of playing play around.
Yes.
Tim says blame yes, punish no. The biggest issue is the unprepared NFL. So he brings up the shield.
That's a really good comment. Tress says the same thing similarly. He says it's the NFL's fault because their joke of a protocol.
But to be fair, like, I'm not trying to support the NFL. I think, look, you got to hold people accountable. But this is a very, very difficult situation for a multi-billion-dollar business, right? I mean, you watch 60 Minutes. Amazon has had their druthers early on in this pandemic to see if their protocol, and they had to rely a lot on technology. The NFL was going up against an invisible virus that they didn't know much about, and they didn't have that much time to prepare. They had time. I don't want to discredit that, but they've got to put these protocols, and they're not steadfast, right? Like, they don't have all of the answers. They got a lot of the money, but they don't have all of the answers to say, this is how you prevent it. And here's the other hard part. It's not just about protocol, guys. It's about action of the people. You talk about this on a larger scale. Everybody around the world looks at the United States as infected because everybody did not follow a protocol. Why? Because Americans are free and they can do what they want, right? So hurting people and making sure they do what is necessary or safe in one person or company's view is a very difficult task. I'm not giving any passes, but I'm saying we do need to keep that in mind.
So here's why. I
can't force you to do anything, Austin, right? I cannot force you to do anything.
Yeah, you can strongly suggest things, and because we own a business together, that there's a different, there's a respect. There's mutual respect, and I feel like if people had more respect for other people, maybe that we'd be in a better place. But that's a much larger discussion,
right?
But overall, like, okay, who is to blame? How are we here? How did the Titans get to the situation where for a second consecutive week, the Titans are in jeopardy of having their game on Sunday postponed to some degree? The word forfeit has been tossed into this late last week by the NFL. I don't necessarily think the Titans will be forced to forfeit the Bills game because of this, because something's still happening, right? This strand or this run through the Titans organization is still going on when we thought it might be coming to an end with 2 back-to-back days of negative tests across the board. The NFL messed up first by not being prepared for what would happen with the incubation period, and also if a coach tests positive on a Saturday before the team flies, do they change it? Do they wait? Like the Patriots had the luxury, if you will, of seeing what happened with the Titans.
The Titans didn't.
Of saying, hey, let's call up the backup plane, right? Let's get 2 planes. We'll have a cam plane and a non-cam plane, and we'll go to Kansas City that way. And so the Titans did not have that. The NFL knew that Shane Bowen was positive on Saturday, and they obviously gave the green light to take off and fly to Minnesota. And that's where I think the thing with the Vikings, of no positive tests with the Vikings and all these positives with the Titans, is once you spend several hours together in a plane twice and then you spend a locker room together, that makes sense of where the transmission happens. And I think it's still a great sign that so far no Chiefs have tested positive after playing against the Patriots, and the Vikings have gotten away from this, it feels like, with no positive tests after playing against the Titans when several Titans players had it in their system during the incubation phase. So that's a big deal for the NFL moving forward. But how the Titans cannot get their stuff under control baffles me. Because when the Titans were sent home from the facility Tuesday morning, a week or so ago, which was Tuesday morning, the 29th. They should have not practiced Wednesday the 30th together. Like, I understand that the October 1st memo from the NFL did not come down until after the Titans went to Montgomery Bell Academy that Paul Kaharski reported yesterday, and that Steve Lehman had the week before that nobody paid attention to for whatever reason. I feel like common sense should have had the Titans players say, look, let's take this couple of days off, see what happens with positive tests, and don't gather. That to me, that makes sense.
I don't think that's common sense.
I think it is. I think it's a lack of common sense.
And I disagree. These are NFL athletes, right, Austin? What's their number one characteristic of an NFL athlete? If you could name one characteristic.
I mean, you have the answer. Just tell me, because I'm going to guess it wrong. I'm going to guess it wrong because you're putting me in a bad spot. So just what? It's work ethic? I don't know. What?
Competitiveness.
Okay.
They're competitive. They want to win. They want to play. They want to provide for their family. So, as we heard from players, not only in Buck's report on A to Z SportsNashville.com, but Roger Saffold, as you can see him on the graphic, they came out, and the reason why they practiced on the 30th is competitiveness. They didn't want, if they played, they didn't want to be unprepared or less prepared as their opponent. Oh, yeah, by the way, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are also undefeated. That is the reason. So I don't dumb this up as what you said of lack of common sense. I look at this as these players, as they were told they couldn't, so they felt that they had to get a leg up if they did play. Because the worst thing, I could only assume, I'm not an NFL football player, is to be unprepared on a football field.
No, the worst thing is to not be allowed to play on that.
You don't know that. Just like
you have more
no, Austin, you said it yourself. They didn't know the true repercussions. No game had been canceled yet, Austin. So you're looking at hindsight, and you can't do that. You have to look at it in the moment. And in the moment, nothing had been canceled yet, and nothing. This had not blown up yet. So it's unfair to criticize their decision based on that.
What I remember, Ryan Tannehill talked to the media, I want to say Wednesday the 30th, or maybe it was, one of those 2 days, either Wednesday or Thursday of that week. And remember the next day, Zach, we were talking in our pre-show meeting, and I brought up that the Tannehill's totally going to go to some field and throw with wide receivers. And I was going to bring that up on the show for whatever reason. I didn't. But that's what happened. Like, you knew that was going to happen. Ryan Tannehill was asked on his Zoom media availability by Steve Lehman that if he was going to go outside the backyard and throw through a tire or something. And Ryan Tannehill kind of smirked and he was like, no, you got to make sure you're ready. But, like, you got to also know better that if there's a virus running through your locker room and you're told to leave your practice facility, don't just go practice somewhere else, because the virus is still going to continue to work its way through your locker room, even if you're not in the building.
Right, but look, they've been tested every day. They can continue to get information saying that they were all negative, right? It wasn't like they didn't know. They get the test results 15 minutes after. They either call you and tell you you're positive, or you don't hear a phone call. Austin, I talked to somebody within the organization on that Monday. That Monday, and I asked him that very question. I was like, do you think that the players will organize something or practice? And we started talking through it. And honestly, both kind of came to the conclusion that, well, if they got caught, you feel like that would be massive repercussions. So I honestly, I swept the notion under the rug and said, look, I don't know if they do that. But now, as we know more information, this is the competitive spirit of trying to win football games. These are football players first. They are. Like, you can't give them I'm not saying like discredit them, but you can't assume that they are looking at every single facet that everybody else looks at it.
Okay, I want to ask you guys a question. And Zach, I'm curious about this, because Paul Karsky reported that Ryan Tannehill was the one who reached out to NBA to set up that practice, right? Yes. Is that good leadership on Ryan Tannehill, or a bad decision and poor leadership on Ryan Tannehill? Don't answer that yet, but first tell me about Calvin and Suttle.
Yeah, Calvin and Suttle right there. If you need your hardwood floors redone, revamped, or just brand new, rip the carpet out and call 615-448-6414. Actually, Calvin and Suttle will rip that carpet out for you, so you don't have to worry about it. But brand new hardwood floors, they've got it at great prices from $2.99 per square foot, $2.99, or you've got from $13. They've got the lap of luxury and cost effectiveness for their hardwood floors. It's that simple. CalvinandSuttle.com, or give them a call today at 615-448-6414.
A to Z Sports, mybookie.ag, code MyTitans to double your first deposit. You can still take advantage of that because there are a lot of bets and money to be made over the NFL weekend. Code MyTitans at mybookie.ag to double your first deposit. So I'm asking you guys the question: is it good leadership by Ryan Tannehill or bad leadership by Ryan Tannehill to set up the practice at NBA on September 30th, the day after the Titans were kicked out of their facility for having positive tests? Zach, I'll let you start.
If you give me a second.
Okay.
personally, if you look at the good leadership versus bad leadership, I think it's a good leadership as a quarterback to take advantage of it. Honestly, I do. I think it's good leadership to because they didn't know the repercussions of the virus at that time of what it was going to do. They had to get their work in. And Austin, based on what we know of the players telling A to Z Sports, the NFL didn't tell them not to do that. And if the NFL, which we have to hold accountable, right, of their protocols, their corporate America, and it goes both ways. I've said this a lot this week, Austin. Corporate America, you have to do what they say. But if they don't tell you to do something, corporate America works both ways.
That doesn't mean you go out there and do it.
Huh? Yo, you can't. Corporate America can't punish you for if they didn't ask you to not do it.
If my wife comes home from work,
this is not your wife.
No. If my wife comes home from work on a Thursday and I'm blackout drunk on the couch, she didn't tell me not to drink, but I did it anyway.
That is the worst analogy in the history of A to Z.
Just because somebody doesn't tell you to do something doesn't mean it's a good decision. I think
mute your mic after that.
It's a bad decision to go out there and organize a practice. I get it. Look, legally, the NFL cannot punish the Tennessee Titans for what they did at NBA. They cannot punish them for that because legally they did not tell them not to at that point. But Ryan Tannehill should also know that I should not get my team together because we were kicked out of our practice facility. Let's go practice somewhere else. And then when he was asked the question on Zoom about, can you go out there and play without practice? And yeah, we got to go out there and do it. We got to make sure we're ready. We got to make sure we're ready via Zoom. We got to have a lot of Zoom meetings and conversations about blitz pickup and all that stuff. And then you go out there and practice anyway when you were told not to.
Boo this man. That's a bad take, Austin.
Just because somebody tells me not to do something doesn't mean it's a good decision.
Bad analogy. Jabu, you're going to get it. I'm throwing additional love to the show for bad. That's a terrible analogy. No, your relationship with somebody, your spouse, has nothing to do with the corporate structure of the NFL finding you, holding you accountable for a invisible virus.
My point,
Ryan Tannehill, you asked me the question. He did good leadership because he was told he was not told not to do it.
But Zach, they were told to leave the facility. That means that Ryan Tannehill's a smart person. He should have known
both ways.
Zach,
corporate America can't screw you on both ends.
I think it's bad.
They didn't tell me to do it. I'll ask for forgiveness.
I think it's poor decision making by Ryan Tannehill to set up that practice at NBA.
Oh my gosh, you sound like that sounds awful.
Why? What, Zach? The one thing that's going to keep the Tennessee Titans from playing football this fall is COVID-19. So when you have 3 players test positive on a Tuesday morning, you don't go gather at a high school the next day to practice while you know the virus is running through your locker room and your teammates. That sounds obvious to me.
Austin, let's say there was no more positive cases the rest of the week and they played on Sunday against the Steelers and they were not prepared because they didn't get the opportunity because some practice squad guy was signed off the streets the week before who wasn't even going to play and got the virus in their building.
The NFL is to blame for this happening in the first place.
No. So if you're a player, the NFL doesn't tell you that you cannot go off facility or off grounds to practice, but still expects you to and hold you accountable to play and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, an undefeated AFC rival.
Zach, they were told to go home and self-isolate. Like on Tuesday morning, they were told to get to the facility.
They weren't instructed that they couldn't get together until the following day,
and that is the NFL's fault.
It's not Ryan Tannehill's,
or it's Mike Vrabel. I think it's a bad decision.
Not Ryan Tannehill's.
I think it's a bad. Ryan Tannehill can still make a good decision without being told one way or the other.
He's the quarterback of an NFL football team. I think it's something that you nor I will ever understand what preparation it goes into to go against, let's just face it, a vaunted Steelers defense on Sunday. That's what he's thinking about because the NFL doesn't give a goddamn about what he does during the week. If it's under their nose to say, you can't practice, you know what the NFL is going to say? Hey, Tannehill, better be prepared to play Sunday. That's what they're going to say. And so Ryan Tannehill, I actually applaud him for for getting guys together to say, look, if the NFL is not going to tell us to do it, then we need to practice. It's the facts.
I think you look at the run on offensive skill players who have tested positive later in this process. Like early on, it was defense, right? It was Daquan, it was Correa, it was Fulton, and then Jeffrey Simmons was Saturday. Then look what happened after that. It's Adam Humphries and Cam Batson on Friday, Kari Blasingame on Sunday, and now Corey Davis. So now, and we'll find out later today at some point who the other two new ones are. It's running to the offense. The offensive skill players were the ones who gathered at NBA.
Yes. Did it affect the outcome of what we're about to see on Sunday, or maybe lack thereof? It absolutely did. But who do you have to hold accountable at the end of the day? It's the league, right? It's the teacher's responsibility in the class, right? It is. And when you're talking about corporate America, not your relationship between husband and wife, it's between boss and employee. And if boss does not tell you to do something but wants to hold you accountable on every other thing and will fine your ass $100,000 at the drop of a hat, then you cannot have that both ways. And Ryan Tannehill took the right approach because he was not told or instructed to not do it.
And they were told to go home. I know that they were told that they could not be at the facility. I mean, that tells – I think common sense tells me we should probably take a couple days off. Like that's honestly what they should have done. Take a couple days off, see what happens with the test results, and then maybe Thursday or Friday, okay, now maybe you think about if you're still not allowed in your facility. But again, doing it the very next morning was a bad decision by Ryan Tannehill. And Tress brings up the DBs met at Belmont's Rose Park as well. Who led that? He's guessing Kevin Byard.
That's an assumption, Tress. You don't know that.
And that's what I was going to say. The only reason why we haven't brought that up is because it was reported that Tannehill was the one who reached out to NBA to do that. Rose Park at Belmont, where those DBs did work out, that is a public park, so they did not have to ask for anybody's permission to go on that field and do drills. In fact, that's where a lot of guys trained this summer with their trainer in the local area. That's where like Greg Kittle and a bunch of tight ends around the league trained, is that Rose Park field. So we're not going to just throw Kevin Byard on the bus because we don't know that. But is Kevin Byard a leader on this team? Absolutely. But I do think Ryan Tannehill made a bad decision by going to NBA so early in the process when they didn't even know how much this was going to impact their roster.
And I think that I'll throw myself, I'll throw you in there, and I'll throw everybody in this feed. We're a bunch of armchair quarterbacks. We don't know. Austin, I'll ask you this. Do you think the NFL, if there was no more positive case the rest of those weeks, do you think that the Titans couldn't get into their practice facility until Saturday? That was reported, right? Do you think the NFL would have expected the Titans to play on Sunday if there was no more positive case on September 29th?
I think they were going to try to move it to Monday or Tuesday. And we know that. We knew that by then.
One day. This is something that we don't know. We don't know the preparation of what it takes to compete and play in an NFL football game for your job. And at times for your life, because you can ask Alex Smith, or for your career, right? You have to be prepared. And it's unfair of the NFL if you're going to spring that on them and then you don't tell them that they can't do something, so they do. And what happened, as it was reported, once the NFL did tell them that they could not organize practices? We have not seen a report that they went and did that afterwards.
I understand that, but I still think it's to me, it's common sense to not go gather. Like, that's the reason why they were sent home. The reason why they were not supposed to be at the facility is because they had players in their locker room that had the virus working through their system. So the worst thing you can do,
both ways.
The worst thing you can do is go gather somewhere else. It's not like that the virus only lives inside St. Thomas Sports Park. No, it's in your bodies. So wherever you go, the virus goes with it, and that's why I feel like it makes sense. It's logical to draw a line between of how it started on the defensive side with Greg Maben, Shane Bowen, and worked through the defense, and then how is now working through the offense for the Tennessee Titans, because those guys gathered on September 30th after they had been exposed.
Yeah, and Austin, if you are saying that it's unfair for Ryan Tannehill to put his guys in harm's way for lack of leadership, I think it's unfair for the NFL to expect an NFL football team to play on the snap of a finger without
But
practice.
they weren't, and we had talked about that, and that's why. Look,
And that was going to happen. You said it yourself. I agree. I think that they would have forced the Titans and Steelers to play on Monday night.
Zach,
They would have
just
only
because-
had 2 days to practice.
Zach, just because I say Ryan Tannehill made a bad decision doesn't mean I think the NFL's in the right. The NFL makes bad decisions too, including their protocols to start this damn season. And Houston's right. The Vikings did it. Now, they were able to get back in their facility on like Thursday or Friday, so I think they only missed 2 days. But they still did it. They won a game against the Texans. But they still won a game.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien was too busy cussing out J.J. Watt and trying to get fired.
Well, it happened. He succeeded in that. A to Z Sports here live on what is today? Thursday. Here in this week, the Titans had 2 positive tests come back this morning, which included the one yesterday that was inconclusive. So I'm going to read Diana Rossini's report here in a second about the update about the Titans versus Bills situation. But first, let me tell you guys about Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, where 1 15-minute workout equals 5+ hours in the weight room. Mandu.com. Your first workout is absolutely free. It's full body electronic muscle stimulation. So check that out. It's a great workout. I'm doing it this afternoon. It's also safe during the pandemic because it's by appointment only, and there's only max 1 other person in there working out with you. So you're going to get a 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 workout with a trainer right there. So Mandu.com, your first workout is absolutely free.
A to Z Sports, mybookie.ag, code MyTitans doubles your first deposit. I want to read this comment because you've said a lot of things about common sense, Austin.
Yeah.
And I think the winner, I've already thrown out my love, but hell, this is a hot show. It's a big show. Predhead24 gets my love on Periscope. And I think you need to understand this very, very much so.
Okay.
Legal agreements and corporate policy aren't beholden to common sense, no matter how one feels. So whatever you think or say, this is not a relationship with your loved one. This is corporate policy. And if they can find John Gruden for wearing a thong on his face, then they have to hold them to that standard.
Zach, what did I say about
the players have to hold the NFL to the same such standard.
What did I say about this? I said that there's no way the NFL can legally do anything to the Titans for that gathering at NBA. I said that. Legally, there's no way the NFL can punish them for that because that practice happened before the memo. So I agree with that comment, but it still doesn't make it a good decision. That's my point.
And I think that that's unfair because you nor I are an NFL football player preparing to do battle on Sunday.
All right, A to Z Sports here live on a Thursday. Let me tell you guys this update real quick from Diana Rossini. She tweets, I'm told Titans and Bills players were told there's an option for playing the game Monday or Tuesday in Nashville. If that happens, Thursday night's game between the Chiefs and the Bills would be moved to Saturday. This is all just being discussed, Diana Rossini ends. So Saturday night football, we had heard about this. If college was not going to be able to move forward with this, that the NFL could take over some Saturdays. But I guess that would make some sense, right? If you gotta move it, that way the Thursday night TV contract still gets its own isolated time slot and not competing with anything on Sunday. I think that would be a big deal for trying to find a solution for what's happening.
Yeah, and I had mentioned that yesterday on the show with Buck I thought they may move it to Sunday, but it brings up a good point on the prime time thing is you put it on Saturday. We're not – now, who do you compete with? You compete with the SEC, but college football's ratings are up. I don't want to say that, right?
Sure.
The NBA ratings are down. College football ratings are up. You don't have to compete with your Vol boys in Georgia at 2:30.
I don't know. By the way those games go, that thing still might be going at 8 o'clock because CBS takes their own damn time with that.
Or it may be out of hand by the third quarter. Who knows? But I think that's a good solution to have the backup plan. The real fear here, Austin, and let's face it, is having to postpone it to a much later date. Is to say, hey, Bills, Titans, we're going to have to figure you out because I personally think that's what should happen. I'll go ahead and tell my opinion. I said it yesterday on Buck's show. I think that they need to postpone this game because they just need the virus to run its course.
Yeah, which means that Titans players cannot continue to practice at high school fields.
Well, then the NFL needs to tell them that.
They did. Unfortunately, one day too late. But I still think
that's unfortunate for who? The NFL.
Everybody involved.
No, it's unfortunate for the NFL because it messes with their nut. But I think what the NFL should do, if they are smart, and I don't want this to happen, I want them to play, but I think for the safety reasons of what we've learned about this virus, you don't want to infect the Bills. Not saying that you can or can't by playing, but I think they should postpone this thing to a later date. I think they should create a Week 18. Bills-Titans would be a good draw because they're both probably, if you would assume, be playoff contenders at the time.
They would both be undefeated. Maybe. Well, I guess
Week 18.
Week 18. Okay, you're right.
So they would not.
You're right. My bad.
So I think that probably plays out the best scenario. And the one thing that you're trying to do is reset. That's what the Titans have been unable to do, is reset, to say, all right, we've all the positives are in isolation, all the negatives now are back at work. God knows that Mike Vrabel is probably going to be on everybody's ass to say, hey, put that mask on, put your damn mask on.
Yeah. Right?
Wash your damn hands. So I don't think once they reset, I don't think we'll have this problem anymore, but I think that's the most viable solution for the NFL.
All right, so you talked about how you didn't know who, if Bills Chiefs is moved to Saturday night, who would they compete against? Man, the viewer, the consumer of football on Saturday night, which would be October 17th, would have a hell of a decision to make between Chiefs, Bills, or Georgia, Alabama. Because Georgia, Alabama is a 7:00 Central kickoff on CBS.
It's the following week.
It's the following week because A&M and Mississippi State kick off at 3:00 Central, and then Georgia, Bama versus Chiefs, Bills head-to-head. I don't know where I would be going. I would probably go Georgia, Bama. Because currently, that's number 2 and number 3 in the country.
Well, like anybody who's a true blues sports fan is, I'm finding 2 TVs.
Yeah. But again, that would be, if you're Fox, I don't think you want that. Like, that's not what you signed up for with your Thursday night schedule. Now, this season isn't what anybody signed up for.
Right.
So you have to make some adjustments and be able to flow with it. But dude, that is Brooks says, I'm watching Bama, Georgia with those two. And Kelkin says college football wins that one all day. I mean, but Chiefs Bills would be a good game. Like you're putting up, like you're all like the huge bomb touchdown passes that would be happening between Mahomes and Josh Allen. The way Josh Allen's playing, I mean, you're talking about 2 top tier quarterbacks, right? In my opinion, 2 of the top guys of how they're playing right now. That's a hell of a Saturday.
I kind of want that to happen. I'll be honest, because I'm going to have 2 TVs.
I would be more likely to watch it on Saturday night than I'd watch it on Thursday night. Thursday night football, I just can't get into.
Are you kidding me? Tonight's the night of all nights. It's Tom Brady in prime time.
Well, yeah, against the Bears. Yeah.
Look, I don't give a damn about the Bears. Brady and the Bucks showcase.
So you're a Bucks fan.
No, but look, everybody wants to see Tom Brady. This is not about me being a Bucks fan. It is a little bit, but
it is a lot of it.
But you want to see Tom Brady in prime time. You can't tell me you don't. You're not a football fan if you don't.
I am. Thursday night. I don't. It's just not a. I can't get into football on Thursday night. Anyway, here's something Zach and I both agree about. Is Doug Farrar wrote the worst thing on the internet maybe ever when it comes to sports columns. Yesterday, I have not read it. Zach has. So Zach will give me bullet points on how bad this sports column was from Doug Farrar from the NFL Wire. But first, Zach, tell the people about Tucker Agency.
Yeah, Tucker Agency can save you money on your insurance. Nashville's independent insurance agency, TuckerTN.com. Will at TuckerTN.com can save you money. The average customer that emails him, 20% savings. You can't beat that. Life insurance, home insurance, renter's insurance. They have you covered in your policy. And if you don't know what you're paying now, it's a problem. Reset email will@tuckertn.com and say, hey, heard about you on A to Z Sports. How can I save money on my insurance? His team will walk you through the process. And you know what? Money's going to be put back into your pocket. You can't beat it. That's will@tuckertn.com.
All right, A to Z Sports here live on a Titans Thursday. Don't forget mybookie.ag, code MyTitans to double your first deposit. Go win some money this weekend, whether it's college football or the NFL, with code MyTitans and mybookie.ag. So, Zach, I saw this Doug Farrar column, and I didn't click on it. And I feel like I saved myself a lot of time by not clicking on it. And now the fact that A to Z Sports has added Doug Farrar on Twitter, A to Z Sports will probably be blocked by Doug Farrar on Twitter for how bad this column was. So because I'm blocked, Zach, I will let you run with this lead topic here so we can discuss how stupid this column was.
So Doug Farrar, who is employed by the USA Today, he does Touchdown Wire, so he writes on the NFL. He saw the news yesterday that Paul Kowarski reported about them scheduling a practice, a workout together outside of the facility after the positive cases has happened. This man's headline was this: why the NFL needs to immediately end the Titans 2020 season. This dude wanted to cancel the Titans season dead on the spot. He wanted to shoot it like an ailing horse. That's what he wanted to do. That's the dumbest, most moronic headline or even thought process that you could have, especially because he didn't have all of the information. In society, this dude was jumping to conclusions like toads jump lily pads. It was unbelievable. And Austin, since you didn't read this, I hope this breaks the internet of stupidity, because Doug Farrar, this is not a message for you. This is a message for the USA Today. Fire this man. Fire this man. Fire this man just like he wanted to fire the Titans season. Because, Austin, listen up.
Yeah.
He said what Ryan Tannehill did by organizing a workout with the NFL, didn't tell him not to. Mind you, I don't know if he had that bit of information because he was jumping to conclusions, but he said that was worse than Greg Williams putting a bounty on players and saying, kill the head, the body will die. And you know how I feel about that quote. He also said that it was worse than the Patriots upsetting competitive balance with their various trickerations. He also said that it was worse than the specter of gambling on a sport. So this guy's anti-gambling. Well, he can get free code MyTitans at mybookie.ag.
Double your first deposit, Doug.
And then he goes on to say the most asinine comment, maybe in the human language. He said that Ryan Tannehill organizing a workout at NBA with his teammates when the NFL would have expected him to play on Sunday no matter what was worse than the unspeakable acts against animals that Michael Vick supported. This man said, and let me repeat, that Ryan Tannehill organizing workouts was worse than Michael Vick slaughtering dogs. Let that sink in.
Yeah, that's the only quote that I actually read, because our own Luke Worsham and Emily Proud tweeted that quote out, and that's where I saw it. And so what I tweeted is that I said that I'm not even going to give this scorching dumpster fire take a click, which then Doug Farrar went on a blocking spree. He rapidly blocked my ass. Then he blocked a lot of people, showing exactly how weak he is. Here's another screenshot. Here's a tweet that I saw him retweet about this article. He tweeted out again. He said, new on NFL Wire, as their COVID numbers increased, the Titans refused to follow protocol in every possible capacity. What to do? Cancel the Titans 2020 season immediately. What are you talking about? They refuse to follow protocol in every possible capacity. You do not know that, Doug Farrar. You don't know the fact that they refuse to do it in every possible capacity. That is reckless. It is dangerous. It is not true. It is wrong. And I tweeted out, does the NFL Wire even have an editor? And then I clicked on Doug Farrar's Twitter bio. Holy hell, he is the editor. Like, what the hell is wrong with this? This is so bad.
It all makes sense.
Like, this is why people laugh at journalism. This is terrible. This is not anything that should be considered journalism, which is what the USA Today and Gannett's awful company tries to promote that they are. Like, I got Adam Sparks out here who's trying to do really good work for the Tennessean, who has to drive to College Station, Texas to cover Vanderbilt, Texas A&M because the Gannett doesn't have money to fly him. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, why is Doug Farrar so bad at his job? Like, Captain Kronk, media members are the worst, am I right? Doug Farrar is making everybody look like that. Like, what the hell is this? Like, that's such a reckless tweet saying the Titans refused to follow protocols at every single capacity. That's just not even true or close to it.
Well, that being not true, but then saying that that's worse than the slaughtering of animals.
It's so bad.
Or putting a bounty to hurt players.
It's so bad.
Worse.
It's so bad. Like,
you know what? I'll just tell you, he's a Corona bro.
That doesn't
Corona tick.
matter.
No, that's the substance of what he's trying to get at. Is that's what he's trying to base his opinion on. And look, we had somebody. I think it was Titans. He says, guys, now we're talking about him for the next 20 minutes. Hell yeah, because I love calling out. And you know what? This just it gets my blood veins going. This faceless, you know what, would never, ever, ever come on and do a video Twitter spat. He would never face up. He'll hide behind his words. He'll block you at every single corner, right?
Well, he blocked me
with his opinion.
I've never had I think we had Doug Farrar on a radio show.
God, what were we thinking?
I mean, that was so long ago at this point, but like, I want to say I might have communicated with Adam. Hey, can you come on and talk about whatever? But like the fact that like this is so bad.
This is the Twitter showdown. You're right, Maven. I would love to have a Twitter showdown, but this, oh my gosh, now I have to FCC censor myself from not calling him what I truly want to call him. And you know what? In a Twitter showdown, I wouldn't be cordial, but I would call his ass out. I wouldn't call him names that I want to call him now, but his opinions are so erratic and idiotic that it makes you think about how a company like Gannett, as you mentioned, gave this man the keys to edit his own work.
Yeah, it's so like, it's so reckless. Like the fact that he actually tweeted that the Titans refuse to follow protocol in every possible capacity.
I don't care about that.
No, but
compare it to killing and slaughtering dogs.
But here's
saying
the thing.
that was worse than what Michael Vick went to prison for.
I mean, that's an opinion. Like, which is it might be one of the worst opinions I've ever heard. Might be one of the worst opinions that I've ever heard or read. But again,
you can't escape that. You can't come back from that.
No, you can't. And but also by like this is fake news. By saying that the Titans refuse to follow protocol in every possible capacity, that's just so factually incorrect. It's just not right. Like that would mean that they don't wear masks ever. That would mean that they took those little wrist bracelets that show contact tracing when doing the trash. Like that's what that means. Doug Farrar is lying to his audience. He's lying to people. And he's also having awful opinions that make no damn sense. And Michael said, I need to go read this. No, don't.
No, dude, I don't care. I don't care. No, because this is why it's important. Because like it's Adam Rank, right? Once you find out about a person now, and you have to be educated to form an opinion, right? So as a fan or a viewer or an audience of Twitter or whatever his work is, you need to go find out who he is so you never click on him again, right? So I sacrifice the one click to ruin his basically say, hey, look, it's like when I go to restaurants and I say, look, man, I go tell the manager, I'm never coming back here again. And it's okay. It's like, it's okay, but I'm never going to read your work again because you just compared an organized practice that the NFL didn't tell the Titans not to do to the slaughtering of dogs in which Michael Vick went to prison for. That's like comparing a speeding ticket to statutory rape.
Well, and like Ethan Rand, like you brought up Adam Rank. Like Adam Rank is hired for entertainment purposes, right? and like you can give your opinion on if you think a team's going to win or lose games, but Ethan Ramsey's right. It's not. I think it's pretty on par for Skip Bayless talking about Dak Prescott being weak for being emotional over his brother's death. Like it's that level of irresponsible and reckless, in my opinion. Like I put the Doug Farrar take about Michael Vick in the same category as the Skip Bayless, not in the same category of Adam Rank in the Titans go to 3-13 or for Nick Wright being wrong about some Titans take, but just for being morally messed up and morally dangerous in what you're spreading on the internet.
Yeah. And that's why we have these conversations, is to inform at least our audience about this dude. And
like I don't even know what his points were for why they should cancel the season. The headline
defiance.
is
no. He said defiance of the players.
The headline is just so ridiculous, so ridiculous. And Jacob says I'm going to be blocked by him by sundown. It only takes one because that's all it took for me.
Here's a quote from his article: "The Titans have created this monster,
yeah,
and they should be the ones to pay for it with the end of their season."
Like, who does this guy think he is? Like, this guy, like, is Doug Farrar okay? Like, is Doug Farrar in an okay spot with his personal life right now? Because I think somebody who doesn't, like, I honestly, because Doug Farrar has been a national NFL reporter and writer for years, and I've never seen anything like this.
Let me read you this other quote. This dude is ridiculous. I mean, it's like he's writing for The Onion. He says, quote, "Anything less than a single season death penalty for the Titans at this point is a toothless, futile, and potentially dangerous exercise."
What? That's such a leap. Like you can't even like jump to the moon. Like this is
the NFL did just fine with 31 members of its club from 99 through 2001. It can do it again.
What is this guy thinking? Like this guy is very irrational.
I know. I just want to talk to the guy face to face. I feel like I'm with the internet. He'll never show his face. Like you see what we look like. There's a reason for that, right? I don't hide behind my Twitter profile or block you if I will block you if you start saying like racist stuff and like, but Austin, all you did was disagree with his opinion. And if you're a columnist and somebody disagrees with your opinion and you block them every time that happens, you're not going to do real well.
It all like that. The column feels like satirical.
No, it's like he's writing for The Onion.
Yeah, it does. Like it makes no sense. But he's also serious about it because he's got defensive and blocked everybody. Like I honestly, like I don't know what's wrong with Doug Farrar. Like seriously, Doug Farrar has been he worked for Sports Illustrated. Now he's with USA Today / Gannett. Like something's messed up.
Oh
like, what are these things?
It's like he's writing for The Onion, and it's like scientists say that baby oil is a substitute for water. like it's so ridiculous that it makes you just scratch your head or laugh. Though the USA Today and Gannett is paying this man to write this trash.
And he is the editor. That's the worst part, is because like if somebody wrote that for our site, I would be like, hell no, I'm trashing that.
I'd fire him on the spot.
No, obviously, but like the fact is, like, what is I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what else to say about it. It's so reckless and dangerous to put that out there because there are people who will read it and be like, yeah, I agree. And then those people don't need to have that ammunition or that confidence that people agree with them.
All right, so let's get to some fun stuff. We'll distract us from COVID and Doug Farrar. And let's go to the magic bucket and do stuff that is detrimental to ourselves.
Yes. All right. The magic bucket to distract us, brought to you by BioPure Music City. But first, real quickly, let me tell you about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. They're the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever that injury happens in life, whether it's to you, someone you love, your kid, whatever it might be, they've got you covered right there. They do everything in that one building, state-of-the-art building. It's only a year and a half old. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's great. Boneandjointtn.org is where to go. They've got over a dozen doctors who can specialize in anything from sports injuries to total joint repair and replacement. Boneandjointtn.org.
I hope he goes back and listens to that segment. And I actually love those segments because, not many times, I mean, sometimes we get on the same page when we're so both passionate about somebody's idiocracy or stupidity, like Adam Stank or Geoff Eat My Schwartz, that guy, or now Doug Farrar. Skip Bayless is a continued one. But, we're tossing that guy in the mix. I love getting on board and just destroying these faceless people that will not – that think they portray they love confrontation, and then once you get in the ring, they're like, that's the noise they make.
Awful. All right, Magic Bucket here, brought to you by BioPure Music City. Speaking of BioPure, now that the flu season's coming up and what's happening with the Tennessee Titans, if the Titans just call BioPure, they'll get this coronavirus killed real quick. EPA regulated, kills 99.9% of germs, also kills coronavirus, and also the flu that's upcoming. So BioPure Music City is where to go. Who goes first in this?
Oh, no. Dude, you forget about the sticker every damn time.
Every time.
I don't understand it.
It's my bit now.
No. It's your Farrar. That's what it is. It's your Farrar. So question, this may be tough for you. Do you remember what the last sticker you put on the bucket was?
Without looking at it?
No, you can look at it.
It was the Stephen A. Smith Stay Off the Weed.
So let's show the people that sticker.
This is what I did last week. Stay off the weed.
So I got a follow-up, and I feel like Doug Farrar's on more than weed. It's like he writes his columns on mushrooms or acid. So we need some help. And there's only one man to help. Okay. That is Tyrone Biggs. The dare sticker of Tyrone Biggs scratching his crack neck, but also not supporting drugs.
That's
great. I love it.
It's a great sticker.
I'm thinking about buying a t-shirt.
That's a really good sticker. Very good sticker. All right. BioPure Music City Magic Bucket, changing the standard of clean. Who goes first? Because I also never remember that either.
You go first. I went first last time.
All right. So this is pulling for me.
Correct.
All right. And we are on location tomorrow morning, so there's a possibility to get really again, the odds of this bucket, the mathematical odds are blowing my mind. Because it says wear a coat and tie on tomorrow's show, which I did last week.
I mean, switch it around.
I do this. Like, can you hear that? I've been doing this. I've been doing that a couple times.
For those just joining the show, we do the Magic Bucket
every Thursday. Son of a bitch. I hate this. This is going to be so bad because tomorrow I have to dress up as Elton John. Yeah. And now we can get rid of this godforsaken slip. Elizabeth George, damn you, because I have to go Elton John tomorrow. Oh, God, come on.
Yes.
That makes my day more difficult because now I have to go plan for this crap.
Yes.
Oh, no.
And you're going to have to tell our new sponsor.
Yes, it's a brand new sponsor that we're going to do for the first time. I'm looking like a freaking fool.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you. Yes, Rocket Man. Oh, my gosh.
Elizabeth George. you might have had the best Magic Bucket viewer submitted thing ever. And thank God it gets torn in half, because now I will do it. And Zach's already done it. So that's it.
You went full SOB on that. I love that.
I did.
I respect that, the SOB. I respect the hell out of the SOB because that's sheer passion and emotion.
That's the one that I really did not want, because that's difficult. It takes effort. I gotta go. Well, at least it's Halloween season. I can go to Party City.
Yeah, no, I'm going as Elton John for Halloween.
Because you already got it planned out. Maybe we can go together. I don't know what you're doing for Halloween. Just dual Elton John.
People really think something's going on.
It'd be very strange. All right, guys. BioPure Music City, changing the standard of clean. Again, have them come out to your home or to your office, your business. They are doing great things with cleaning up for the coronavirus. So call them 615-635-0555 or go to the website biopureservice.com. Biopureservice.com. Get them up for a quote. That's all it takes. BioPure Music City. All right, so this is now for, if I can pull one out. This is a big slip of paper. This is not as fun right now because of an injury. Zach, over the next minute or so, convince the audience that Christian McCaffrey is a better running back than Barry Sanders.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, this is going to hurt because this goes against everything that I think. So
better than Barry Sanders. Unfortunately, he's hurt right now, so it's not really.
So before I do that, because I do need to get my thoughts together, tell the fine folks of our bet that because of COVID has been delayed, but will eventually get paid off.
Yes.
Unfortunately for me.
Yeah, when Christian McCaffrey was coming into the NFL draft out of Stanford off of breaking Barry Sanders' record for most all-purpose yards in the season in college, Zach thought that Christian McCaffrey was not big enough or physical enough to be an NFL running back. He can't run through the tackles. He's going to have to be a wide receiver in the NFL. And so the fact is that we made a bet that if Christian McCaffrey passes 1,100 yards rushing in any of his first 3 seasons, that I get to tase Zach. And if he did not reach that number, then Zach got to tase me. Lucky for me, Christian McCaffrey had a badass of a year last year, and he surpassed 1,100 yards. And so now, Zach, tell the audience why Christian McCaffrey is a better NFL running back than Barry Sanders.
Well, I think it's the versatility. I think that and Barry Sanders is a quitter. Let's just face it, right? Like Christian McCaffrey, he's going to stay in there. He's always been a running back. That's been in his blood ever since he was born and birthed from the McCaffrey.
He was born into a wide receiver family. So
yes, but you're not
doing a very good job of.
But well, if you let me finish, whose is this? Is it yours or mine? It's mine. As he came and exited the womb, he had a gleam in his eye saying, I was going to be a running back in the NFL, Dad. I need to play a different position. And once he started that, he's versatile. He's not going to quit on his team like Barry did. He's unbelievable. He's shifty. He's the new era of NFL running back. He's the highest paid now, which I should have thought about when he was drafted. He is injury prone at times, but he's a very, very quality white running back, which I thought, if you looked at the history of the running back position, the last great white running back was, what do we say? The Redskins running back.
John Riggins?
John Riggins. That was the last quality, right? There was a lot of, drop in the buckets that were, I mean, just let's look at the history, right? The Stanford running back, Toby Gerhart, he didn't work out. You look at other guys like the Browns running back was on Madden. He didn't work out.
Peyton Hillis,
and Chris McCaffrey.
Toby Gerhart now lives in Franklin,
and he lives next to my best friend from high school.
You told me, yeah. So, I don't know if that's a very convincing job. Why?
I don't believe anything I just said.
Convince me that he's better than Barry Sanders.
I can't. I just can't. Barry's too good. He's not. I'll ride and die with Barry Sanders every day of the week and twice on Sunday, then go with Christian McCaffrey. I have so many negative things to say about Christian McCaffrey,
he's
but
good.
I tried.
Why? He's the highest paid running back.
And Hunter, Mike Allstott is one of my favorite players of all time. He's a fullback. He's not a running back. And he's the greatest fullback of all time. My AOL screen name was Allstott4028 when I was growing up. I know a little bit about Mike Allstott.
That's so funny.
He's got a great life. He just bought a multi-million-dollar mansion. He's dating a supermodel, Olivia Campo. I mean, he's got a really good life. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, I was like, Mike Allstott?
No, Mike Allstott found a nice wife when he was living in Tampa, and he Purdue guy. You know, he's a lunch pail dude, and he came in, and now he lives in Tampa. Oh, my heart goes with Mike Allstott.
Bobby says Barry Sanders was too high of a bar. That was the point.
It was so hard. It was a good one.
I will tell you, there is also on this slip. There's something that I have to do similar.
No, I figured as much. I don't want to really know you.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But the reason why I picked Barry Sanders is because Christian McCaffrey broke Barry Sanders' records in college. So there's a correlation to that, and because I knew it'd be hilarious to have Zach try to do that.
I mean, I had to call Barry Sanders a quitter. That was awful. That
must have hurt.
It did. It hurt me because Barry, I don't feel like that, man.
Because at 90s kids, Barry Sanders was the guy. That guy was untackleable.
Now, the problem was I saw he used to terrorize the Bucks twice a season because they were the NFC Central. So I didn't love the Lions. The Lions, we should have just a bash Detroit segment.
They get enough.
Detroit is
low-hanging fruit.
Stafford needs to get the hell out of there. That didn't hurt worse than the taser that I'll receive.
Maybe. We don't know.
Yeah, and work done, right? Allstott 48-28. That 28 stands for work done.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this Thursday. Look, crazy show because of what's happened with the Titans. Obviously, we'll figure out more as the next couple of days go on. Louis reminds me, don't forget my sunglasses tomorrow. I've got to go put together an Elton John outfit. Now I just have to switch up my day. I have to go live Party City and figure out what to do here. But all right, guys, we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning for what's going to be a very fun, wild, energetic show. Flashy.
You know what we didn't do
today?
Percentage that the Titans play the Bills this week.
Yeah, well, when we started the show, we didn't know what was going to happen. There was not enough information, so it was kind of but yeah, we didn't do it.
Let's head that up tomorrow morning if we have time. I'd be curious. Mine's dropped dramatically.
Hey, here's some good news that I just read on our Twitter feed. James says, "Hey, A to Z Sports, you got credited on the 985 The Sports Hub, Boston's #1 sports show about Buck's story yesterday."
There you go.
Give people the credit when they deserve the credit for breaking the story.
We're live in Boston.
Hey, Monsoon's taking credit for that. I will absolutely give you credit for that, Monsoon, because I know you live up there. I like it. I like it, guys. All right, have a great rest of your Thursday. Don't forget the podcast network with new content coming out basically every day of the week. Also, Buck will be back tonight with A to Z Sports Primetime. We'll see how the Titans news changes by the time Buck goes live at 8 p.m. Central Time. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great rest of your Thursday.
Adios.